Hey everyone, it's Diana Newen here. I just wanted to get on and give a quick chat about personal discernment. So, first off, thank you to everyone who's kind of given their expression of interest about the Akashic Records online class, which is going to be happening on the last Friday of the month, this February. And some of you, I know when you were looking to sign up, you were asking about the personal discernment recording. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about why I'm kind of emphasizing a little bit on discernment before, jumping onto certain classes that I do or anyone else does anyone else does, any sort of teachings or anything that you're listening to. Just because, we're in this day and age where there's so much information. There's information about everything. Like you can Google whatever and you'll get information that comes up. And, for me, in my work, I've always been about empowerment. If you know me, I'm the type of person who never tries to force my view and beliefs onto you. I will always say, if it rings truth for you, if it resonates with you, then take it. And if it doesn't, then just ignore it. Now, it's easy to say that, right? But the question is, how do you actually figure out what is your truth and what isn't in order to either take it on or to ignore it? And so that's why I kind of edited and created that recording on personal discernment, because it's not something that is so difficult to do. You just have to learn how to do it, and you have to learn how it works for you, because for everyone it's very different. Some people will just have a knowing that something sounds right or is right for them. Other people, it might be a bit different, whether it's a felt sense or there's something else that kind of tells you that whatever it is truth and not. And, for some people, for me, sometimes I'll get goosebumps, and the goosebumps is actually a sign to tell me that whatever I'm saying or whatever is coming in is my truth. But it takes time for you to, I guess, learn about how you work in order to figure out whether you want to actually take something on or not. So the reason why, it's not compulsory for you to do the recording prior to joining the Akashic Records online class. If you feel like you've got pretty good discernment, then that's fantastic. So the only reason why I'm kind of having that particular recording and offering out there, which is really simple exercise, by the way. The video is only about 11 minutes. It takes you through an exercise on one of the ways in which you can figure out, determining what is for you and what is not. There's many other ways. I just take you through one. And because when we start working with different energies, different frequencies, it's important that we actually ensure that we're working with the right energies for us. Because what I found was when I was being taught this sort of stuff, it was almost like discernment was something assumed and never taught. So, in my diploma of energy healing days, it was, let's just connect in with Archangel Michael and let's connect in with Jesus or whatever. But no one really taught you how to figure out whether that actually was Archangel Michael that you were connecting to, or that actually was Jesus that you were connecting to, and all that sort of thing. So when I'm teaching, I would like you to come into the class with a sense of you knowing what is right for you and what isn't. Because then you can essentially, figure out what it is that you want to take on and what it is that doesn't ring true for you. Instead of just taking it on because I told you so, right? I don't like people just giving their power away to others because there's a perception that someone knows more about something else than you do. Okay, so that's the importance of that. That's why I stress the importance of discernment, because some people will say stuff and it's just complete nonsense. Okay, well, nonsense to me. It might not be nonsense to you, but again, this is discernment. So an example of this would be twin flames, and how twin flames are, there's always got to be some sort of sexual chemistry and intimate love between each other and, all that sort of stuff. No, that's complete, to me, that's complete BS because I've experienced something different. Not me personally, but I've seen it. And it can come about in many ways. And a lot of the rhetoric out there just seems to rehash the same sort of message. It's almost like, I'm just going to Google what this is and then I'm just going to rehash whatever Google says, as opposed to actually seeking within whether or not that is true for you. So having a skill like that is really important when you start wanting to dive a bit more into energy and spiritual and esoteric topics, because what is true for you might not necessarily be true for someone else. And a lot of the times what comes through in the teachings, unless the teacher themselves is a pure channel, can be slightly tainted with the fears and belief systems of the teacher themselves, right? So that's why it's really important to question and to figure out whether something rings true for you or not. What else do I want to say about that? I think that's about it. So again, if you feel like you've got pretty strong discernment, fantastic, and you want to join the class, great. Awesome. I'll see you there on Friday, the last Friday of February. I think it's Friday the 28th, last day of February. Otherwise, if you weren't too sure about, your own discernment, which is another way of saying figuring out whether something is in alignment with you or is your truth, then maybe you just want to check out the video so you get a bit of an idea. And if you've got any questions, feel free to email me or contact me afterwards and we can have a quick chat or something like that. Because as we go into the Akashic Records, it's going to be important to exercise your discernment, especially with, the information that you may be accessing. And also when we access the Akashic Records with the help of your spirit guides or your higher self or something, it's important to know that you're accessing it via the correct channel of truth for yourself, right? And so this will be almost something that I would encourage for any other class, or even healing that I do with anyone moving forward, because I find that so, so important. When we're learning something and there's fundamental techniques that we need to learn before we can then branch off and do whatever we want with it. For me, discernment is one of the key things you need to know before you start branching off into the spiritual and energy work. If you don't have it, then you run the risk of taking on a lot of stuff, believing in things which aren't necessarily your truth, and getting wound up and going down the rabbit hole with that, But when you have a very strong sense of self, then any of the other stuff isn't going to, push you off your own center. And again, I'm more about empowerment, which is why, for me, this topic of discernment is so important. It's so simple, but it's really, really important, right? So anyway, if you feel drawn to it, there will be a link to the recording that you can purchase. Otherwise, there's many other ways, maybe pendulum is one way, maybe kinesiology is another way, muscle testing on yourself, or, you might even use your clairvoyant sight to help determine whether or not it's right. We are limitless. So the ways in which we can exercise our discernment and I guess come up with tools to help us to do that are also limitless. So just because I teach one particular technique in that recording doesn't mean that that's the only technique, and it might not necessarily work for you. It's just one way, right? So again, use your imagination, be playful with how you come up with figuring out what's true for you or not. So with that, I hope that kind of gives you a bit of insight as to why I'm kind of pushing on the discernment front. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Akashic Records online class at the end of February if you feel called to. And I hope that everyone is having a great day and sending you guys lots of love. Bye.